So Hari, welcome to this debriefing session, and congratulations on scoring a 710. Excellent verbal score, good quant score. So how does it feel?
It feels great, Rajat. Actually, I feel like okay, I've gotten beyond a particular point, and 710 was my threshold. So I feel happy that I've crossed that threshold. I would have liked to have gotten a better score, but this is what I'm happy with this. We'll say
Good.
that.
Yeah, I think the schools that you're applying to right now, 710 to score. That's good enough for them. But yeah, I mean, you have a Q48, V40. I think you can get to a 740 fairly easily. But let's talk about this. You're an entrepreneur. You
Right.
run your own business, fairly large business that too, or rather, your family business is fairly large, and you have a second business that's budding along with that. So how did you find time to prepare for the GMAT amongst all of this?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult, Rajat. I'm a morning person, so I used to wake up at 3 in the mornings. I used to prepare till 6.
Oh,
Then
three to
I
six. Wow.
3 to 6. See, I'm not a night owl, so I'm a morning person through and through.
Okay.
So I got up at 3, prepared till 6, then went back to work. And most of the things I used to do on in through my phone also. Certain
Mhm.
practice questions I used to do in my phone.
Got it.
Then I came back in the evening, maybe like 8 to 9, 9:30. Then go back to sleep. It was quite tough.
You
Uh,
married, or
yeah, I'm married.
how the hell did that work?
That was like pretty difficult. I haven't I haven't seen my wife from February, so that's that's pretty difficult.
Okay. Well,
But
you had to make those adjustments to get the time out to do this.
yeah, because see, I was like starting this preparation after a very long time. I'm taking my books out after like 10 years. So it took a while for me to actually get into the practice of learning. I forgot my basic maths itself. So I had to like learn from the basics. Multiplication tables I had to go through and memorize again. So it took some time. It took some time and effort. But after a while, it got easy. I started remembering things. Then it got a little bit easier for me.
So I look at your course attempt, and again, your course attempts are very, very diligent. I mean, for someone who is in your shoes to score a V40, and then even with an e-GMAT marks, you've been in that V38 to V43 bracket um, quite consistently. That's no mean feat. So
Okay.
when you started, V40 is 91 percentile, so it puts you in the top 10 percentile of students. So when you
Right.
started preparing for verbal, were you
Okay.
familiar with the grammar rules? Were you familiar with pre-thinking as an approach? And
No, I thought I was familiar with the grammar rules, but when I started my OG questions, then I knew that the grammar that I thought that I knew was wrong. So I had to like relearn a lot of things. The main problem was unlearning a lot of things. I thought many of the rules that we actually know in our day-to-day, writing, day-to-day, what we use is actually not used in GMAT. So I had to unlearn all those things and then start again.
got it.
Even for critical reasoning, I thought it was just a logical question and answer type of thing in the beginning. But after I went through certain questions, after a while of, then I found out that actually there was a different logic to these questions than what is actually being asked. So I needed some technique to actually, get these questions right.
Okay.
So I didn't have any previous, like I was not like really good at these things. Like uh, I was good in English like very long back, but after like 9 to 10 years in the manufacturing sector, like I normally don't even use English anymore. So it's not like that.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Now, so then as you went through the SC course, and so before going through this, were you of the opinion that sentence correction is about grammar?
Yeah, That's what I thought. Sentence correction. That's what I thought. Uh, so before going through the course, I thought it was like 100% about grammar. I actually gave a small mock test when I started my before starting my GMAT. Actually, I got a 430 or something, and it was like a really abysmal score.
Yeah,
So after that, then I thought I didn't have any ideas that 430 was even a very low score. Then only I got to know. I thought
got
like,
it.
okay, I'm above 50%, so it should be fine. But then
Okay,
I,
because it's out of 800, so you said
yeah,
430, it's about 50%. Okay,
yeah, I was that naive. I was that naive when I started. Then only I came to know that it was a really low percentile.
got
Uh,
it.
s- so then after taking that course, e-GMAT course, I went through all these grammar rules, and there was a lot of if it is like this, do this. So these things I went through. But even after that, my accuracy was okay, but it was not like really high or like not satisfactory, I would say. The game changer happened when I actually, there was a webinar on meaning-based approach for sentence correction. So I attended the webinar, but I wouldn't say that I understood, I grasped the concept right then. But then I thought about it and I tested out a few questions. Like I wouldn't even look at the grammar; I would just go by the meaning. And then eventually, I think even if you don't look at the grammar, if you go by the meaning, you get it 80% of the time right. So only it kind of then clicked. Then I started, combining these two things. Certain questions I would use grammar, but mostly I would use the meaning to get my answers right. So in CR, actually the inference part in e-GMAT course, it was quite good. So when I started, I didn't know to actually recognize an inference question, or then after going through the techniques over there, the main I would like to point out some things. There is an explanation in a particular section of what do certain words mean, like more than, like most, lesser than, some. So these things were like really given in detail. That helped me a lot. I was struggling with that also. The pre-thinking approach, I struggled with it to begin with. After a while, it took me a while to get it, because in the course it is actually given step by step, and you get a lot of time to do all those pre-thinking in your mind. But in the question, it is just, you have to do it in 10 seconds. So, but after doing like 10, 30, 40 questions, then you slowly kind of like a procedure was getting formed in my mind. So automatically I start doing it once I see the question. So then CR, after a while, CR like kind of worked out. Um,
So
RCs,
I think let's just talk about this over here. But I want to just kind of make an observation on what you said. So there's a reason when you look at this, you see these statements over here. You see impact of only and all, some,
okay,
most, the visualization. Because when
okay,
you take that knowledge in and you bring it to pre-thinking, that's when you are able to visualize. And if you visualize it on 10, 20, 30 arguments, your brain
yeah.
starts getting into the habit of kind of understanding that conclusion more deeply, which is when the time to answer a question, the time to
Yeah.
pre-think comes down drastically.
Yeah, actually,
Once that happens, and
yeah, I forgot to mention visualization. That was really good. See, actually, when I went through the course, I thought that it was like completely unnecessary to, it was like very elaborate. The visualization technique explained was really elaborate. And I thought, like, where are they going with this? But I practiced that in question after question. I started visualizing in the same fashion. Then after a while, you don't do that all the elaborate things, you don't do it. Then you actually, your mind kind of like figures it out how to do it like quickly. So but to start with, it
it
was slow.
becomes an involuntary
Practice,
activity. It just
yeah.
happens by default. It's like driving.
Yes, correct, correct. So this is what I found in e-GMAT. Everything was like step by step. They go from the basics and then they go step by step. it kind of feels like it is too elaborate, but I don't think that it is elaborate. It is just the way it trains your mind. I would definitely give you that.
I kind of try. I like to take an example of tying a shoelace. You remember the first time you learn how to tie a shoelace, you
Yeah,
have to do it step by step.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
once you get into the habit of it, you don't even have to look at it. Your fingers just
yeah.
figure a way out. And while you're talking and looking here and there, you're able to tie a shoelace. That's
Correct,
what this
correct.
process is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then RC story is very similar too for you, right?
Yeah, RC story. See, RC is different for everyone. That's what I found out. See, even in the beginning of the course, that's what it says. It says that you have to find your own groove. So it doesn't say that do this. It's going to work out. It gives you a couple of like not couple of methods. It gives like 3 to 4 methods, I think, and you have to choose actually which works for you. So for me, note taking didn't work. So I, followed the active reading approach. Active reading worked out for me. So it's kind of difficult as to initially figure out what active reading means. So you have to once you read a passage, it kind of works different for everyone. You have your own way of processing. So, but if you actually find out or figure out what active reading means, at least there are some, I think, pointers in the course that actually explains what active reading is. But once you know what active reading is, then I I didn't take any notes at all. I have not taken any notes from the beginning.
I think
So
the notes piece is the core of it is to do make sure you understand the passage, which kind of is what active
yeah.
reading is all about to
Yes,
begin with.
yes, yes. Now, once you start to do that, you understand the passage completely when you read it. Then you can go back wherever you want to answer whichever question you want. So that was good.
On the quant side, then, I mean, you also went through number properties, algebra. Then you
Yeah.
said you'd forgotten a lot of quant. So how did that work out for you?
Yeah, quants, like I said, I tried a different course, it didn't work out. So then I subscribed to e-GMAT. The main thing in quants was I attended a webinar in which it was about inequalities. And then they were talking about this wavy line method, and I was trying to figure out what it meant. And it turns out that it is actually the simplest method to actually find out the solution for such questions. The method was really concise. That's what I would say. It is not. It doesn't say even one. Doesn't stray at all.
Yes, it doesn't.
I've not even outside the syllabus. I've not gotten any question in my actual GMATs. So it was really concise and it was quite simple and to the point, I would say. Whatever I needed to answer the question, that is what was given. So it kind of like helped me focus my energy in what mattered. That's what e-GMAT did for me in the beginning. Then the scholariums were really good. The quant scholarium, verbal scholariums were really nice. I used my quant scholarium for practice because I came to e-GMAT quant subscription only in the later part of my preparation. So I used the scholarium for practice a lot. So that was also really nice. I was struggling with work time a lot. Work time was a real pain point for me. I was getting confused all the time. Work time and inequalities. Even like when I was going to the GMAT test, I was listening to that particular part, work time.
Okay.
So I got confused in the last minute. Then I again, while I was going to the test, I was like, going through it, and then I got cleared and went to write the test.
So like right before the test. Okay.
Yeah, because see, most of the people tell you that don't do anything before the test, but I was just going through my mind regarding certain things, and I suddenly got confused about this work time issue. There are like 2, 3 approaches to a particular question, and I got confused, and I spent like 10, 15 minutes going through the course material again, and then I went to write my GMAT.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. So 7, 10. I know you are kind of happy. You said, okay, this was my threshold. I wanted a slightly higher score, but this is my threshold. How does your family feel about it?
Yeah, they were like very
Or do they
happy.
understand what that means?
They kind of understand. They don't know actually what it means or what it takes to get this much. All those things they don't understand, but they were like expecting more from me. So it was a letdown for them. They don't know. I mean, in my marks, I was like getting more. So it kind of like pushed up their expectations. So I shouldn't have told them those scores.
So
I
you were
think.
getting more in the official marks.
Yeah, I was no, I was getting more in my official mocks. So they were like expecting close to 730, 740. So I was not able to get there. So it was kind of a letdown, but they were also happy. They were also happy.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think yes, that part is there. So let's talk a bit about you want to you're an entrepreneur. You want to do an MBA. Canada, Germany, two countries you're looking at. Um, we talked about the fact that hey, even though you're an older candidate, you're not a traditional candidate, so that age factor might not apply to you because. You're not looking for jobs post your MBA. You want to kind of go back to your own business over there. So I think that part for you is a really big. It's a plus point because the business that it's your own business and it's a successful business.
Right.
So that
Okay.
part is going to be very useful overall. But I mean, if from that 413, the first attempt or first mock, first diagnostic, whatever you might call
Yeah,
it, that
diagnostic.
prediction
Yeah.
to that 710 is incredible. I mean, almost, not almost 280-point improvement is incredible.
Okay.
So what other things would you like to know or any question that you have about just post your GMAT now?
So like I had a few other questions regarding my application process. So they're asking for references, right? So since I'm an entrepreneur, I'm asking my
You're talking about
clients.
letters of recommendations, yes.
Yeah, right. Letters of recommendation. I'm actually asking my clients to support me, and so I wanted to know. See, I've seen a lot of letters of recommendations, like they're too flowery or too. I think they're a bit exaggerated. I don't think I can do that and go and ask my clients for such a letter. So I'm going to
Not without giving them a discount, no.
no. Yeah, that's going to work out differently if if I'm going and asking them like that. So is that really a necessity to like pump it up so much, or like is it like
So
okay, of course.
so I think there is two things to it. One is the flowery language, which in
Yeah.
India, I know we don't write such flowery language. We don't use superlatives a lot. In
Okay.
in the US, we do use superlatives. In Canada, we do. In Germany, I don't think we use superlatives to the same degree. I've
Okay.
lived in Germany for about 4 years, so I kind of understand the work culture there. So so that's one piece though, but so that part, I think let's just keep that aside. But what
Okay.
really matters in that letter of recommendation is or your accomplishments to
Okay.
really say, okay, let's say you have a client or a customer. It could also be a supplier, by the way. It doesn't need to be a customer.
Okay.
So who you worked with for the last 4 years.
Okay.
How has that customer seen you enhance your offerings?
Okay.
And what has been the impact? How has he seen you enhance the quality? How has what your organization has done? How has that helped them get better? So if you
Okay.
think about working in a classic organization, what it's not very different. In a classic organization, you work for a boss, and your boss what really says is how has this particular individual helped done work which is to the benefit of the organization, right? So it's
Okay.
a single entity, but it's essentially the same thing. Um,
Okay.
in this case, what you're asking the client is to do something similar to really say the fact that you've had a relationship with us, how has this helped you, compete better in the industry?
Okay.
Our turnaround times have been smaller. How do they in turn have helped you kind of serve your clients better?
Okay.
Uh, if we've improved on our quality, if our defect rates have been lower, how does that impact your productivity or your profitability. And again, you're really not asking for actual numbers, because then there's that risk that you will charge them more,
Yeah.
but also in a directional sense
Okay.
over there. That's
Okay.
kind of what that's one aspect that you're looking to get out of it. And
Okay.
because you're an entrepreneur, I think you can get a lot more concrete stuff out of it. The
Right.
second thing, and it's very objective, like in an organization, you're stuck with a guy. It's very difficult to fire someone. But if
Okay.
as a customer, you can fire your supplier. It's possible. The people have different options. And if someone's stuck with you for that many years, there has to be concrete reasons why they're stuck with you. How have you
Okay.
worked with him to understand, the customer's needs?
Okay.
So I think for me, that part is getting good answers to those pieces is really important now to really say, hey, is he amongst the top 5% of some people who I've worked with in the same area, or top 10%? I think that's one piece which is there.
Okay.
But frankly, if they're justifying this piece, then
Okay.
the other answers are not difficult to put in place anyway.
Okay. Okay. I get it. I get it. So one more thing I wanted to ask you, Rajat. See, being a entrepreneur in the small to medium industry segment, see whatever impact I'm creating in my industry or in my company, they're going to be small compared to the impact that you're going to create in a bigger company. For example, if I was still in Maruti,
Mhm.
if I was still in Maruti, an action or maybe a project that I would do will translate into crores or maybe even tens of crores. That is what the impact would be. I mean, if I'm still working at a bigger company or something like that. The same thing if I'm doing here, it's going to be maybe in 50 lakhs, maybe 1 crore, 1.5 crore. That is what the maximum impact it is going to be.
Mhm.
So when I comparing my CVs with my some other people who are applying for MBAs, so some alumni, something like that, I'm feeling that there is a difference in my numbers and their
That's
numbers.
yes, there will be. And that's a very common thing, by the way. So
Okay,
I'll tell you my case. When I was I was in the same place where you were in 2003. And
okay,
I was looking at people who were, I think we still have resume books that schools gave out for employers. And at that time, internet was in infancy. It was really kind of just started, if you think about 2002, 2003. School portals
okay,
weren't super secure. So as a prospective client, I could get access to the resume books. So I could really see, hey, what is it that people who are graduating from this, what have they done before? So
okay,
I would download resume books from everywhere, and I would compare their resumes to say, hey, this is what these guys did before going into
okay,
starting business school, and I was a researcher. So there were a lot
okay,
of people who had talked about the fact that they were managing, they were a part of $1 billion portfolio in a hedge fund, and they had these huge
okay,
numbers over there. But then, frankly, when you think about, you have to always take those things in context over there to say, hey, $100 million, $1 billion hedge fund, or an investment fund is not huge in that industry. By the way, you're one of 50 people over there. The same way,
right,
if you were to do a project in Maruti, pretty much, if a project doesn't have an impact of 20 crores or 50 crores or 100 crores, they
yeah,
won't even take it up. It's not worth their time. And you'd be one of 50 people who'd be contributing to that. And you might not be the primary contributor. You might just be the part
right,
of that team. Here, you are driving that improvement.
right, right, right.
I mean, another way to ask this question is, would you be making more money than what you're making today if you were a part of Maruti?
No, no,
Because the amount of money you are making is a proportion of the contribution. It's a
right,
reflection of the contribution that you've made.
right, right.
So you made a 1 crore improvement here, but that contribution, your individual contribution, is a lot higher here in that one
Okay,
crore. So I think those numbers don't matter, because as an entrepreneur, they recognize that.
okay, okay. I get your
So,
point.
yeah, so don't be, I think what's important really are those stories which cause that improvement, not the
Okay,
amount.
okay,
But the extent of, so I mean, if you have in a business unit, you have a 10 crore operation, improved you got an improvement by 1 or 1.5 crores. It's a 15% improvement. It's a
correct.
huge improvement. And that's kind of where you need to sell it with, to really say, hey, I caused a 15% improvement, and that becomes interesting.
Okay.
So, so that's what I would really just say.
Okay.
So I'll tell you, one of my most successful employees was someone who had his own startup. His revenues were of the order of 14, 15 lakhs. And,
Okay.
and essentially he sold that company for about 75 lakhs or so, and then joined e-GMAT. And then
Okay.
he was expecting a salary of, certain amount. I gave him 40% more than that. I said, your experience is valuable. I'll pay you that much more. And
Okay.
and the guy was did tremendous things at e-GMAT. I mean, he was there with us for about a year and a half. He's
Okay.
now studying. He was a former student, so that's how we got him. So he
Right.
was a former student who had sold his company, scored 740 on the GMAT,
Okay.
and then so I was doing this interview, or rather, Payal was doing this interview, and she kind of recognized. He said, "Rajat, he's going to be a really great fit for e-GMAT," and so and he's just sold his company, so why don't we hire him? So that's how we hired him, and then eventually he worked for us for about a year and a half. He got about I think about 2 crores worth of total scholarship money
Oh,
overall, and now
that's
he's studying in the
fantastic.
US.
Okay. Okay.
So I mean, small scale guy, but very very valuable. His experiences are very valuable.
Right.
So
It's all about how you project yourself, or like. Uh, okay, I get the point. I get the point.
yes, yes. So well, it was really good talking to you, Hari, and thank you so much for taking the time out.
Okay.
Someone from e-GMAT will reach out to you asking you for a review. If you could provide that review on GMAT Club, and you already know where review section is on GMAT Club because you've read those reviews, right?
Yeah, I've read those. Yeah.
So I think if you could provide that review, that'd be really great.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll be happy to do that.
All right. Thank you so much, Ganesh.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Rajat.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you.